Joining us now, this is a mid-season tradition on In the Circle, and she's having another fantastic season, of course. We're currently ranked in the top 25 in the D1 softball poll, among many other polls. There, and of course, coming off a doubleheader sweep over UConn, 27-3 on the season. She's entering her ninth season. I can't believe it's her ninth season already at BU, ladies and gentlemen. Led BU to unprecedented success. Certainly was an All-American player in her own right during her time. I mean, we could go on, but she's got practice to coach as we record this. I speak of our good friend Ashley Waters joining us here on In the Circle on D1 softball. Is it really ninth season?
I know they keep me around. Yeah, it's been a whirlwind, and definitely it's funny when you look back. It's been um, you know, quick, long, high, low. It's all the emotions wrapped in one. But yeah, I think 9 years it's been pretty good.
I would say so. Five NCAA tournament appearances during your time there. And as I mentioned, you're ranked in the top 25 in many polls, including D1 softball as we record this. And you've been ranked in the top 25, at least on the D1 softball poll, for a while. And yet, as we talk, I think it speaks to a compliment to the league, to your program, that it's not like we're celebrating that. It's almost like you were expected that. Last year you were ranked towards the end of the season. How does that feel now that your program now is getting the respect where, hey, you're ranked in the top 25 and people are like, yeah, they should be ranked. Of course, they're really good.
Yeah, no, I think it's special. I mean, our ultimate goal, obviously, every single weekend is just to win softball games and to get ourselves to a better spot. But I think last year, I think when we first entered the poll, that was one of those days where, I actually can vividly remember I was like walking the dogs and someone shot me a message and said we were in it. And I think, my eyes kind of filled up just because I see what these kids put in, day in and day out. And I know that our ultimate goal was to kind of be on the map or be a team that people recognize or be a team that, when you said Boston, you thought university, and I think those things have been really special to us and we've taken a lot of pride in it. So yeah, I mean to be ranked, I mean, that is so incredibly special. And it's basically just saying that, the softball world is seeing you, right? And they're respecting what you're doing. And I think that to me is a testament to these kids and how hard they've worked. And our senior class and our super senior class, man, I mean, they've put us on the map. They've found a way to kind of chip away and kind of break the mold of what the difference is between a mid-major and a power five. And we've kind of find a way to slide in there and hang out for a little bit, which I think is pretty special.
And what I've noticed is there's more eyeballs too now on your program. Like I remember the first time you came on here was when you knocked off Oklahoma, and that was a big deal. We had you the week of, and we became friends since then. You haven't stopped coming on since. You appreciate you keep saying yes. But
I appreciate the invite.
hey, it's always open there. But what's fascinating is you always challenge your teams to the schedule. You've always played a top stuff non-conference good, but this year you've definitely have raised it up, and people have noticed. People are watching you when you play at Duke, for example, when you play Charlotte. Most recently, you played South Carolina in a classic game. But do you sense that? Do you sense that there's more eyeballs now in your program than ever before?
I don't know necessarily. I think for us, it's, we obviously try to keep it simple. I think that we recognize that, when you're going against a power five, like they have more resources than you, but it's the same as that game. I think when we walked into South Carolina, we were kind of in awe of that stadium, what it looked like. But, the second you go between the lines, it makes no difference, what their field looks like compared to ours or what equipment they have compared to ours. It's just a softball game. And, I think our kids, they believe in their ability to execute and they believe in their ability to play and to hang and to compete. And I think that was my ultimate goal. I want kids who want to compete. I want kids who are willing to look Duke straight in the eye, not look up at them. That doesn't, so to me, I'm like, we've found that niche of being able to get on the same field and feel like we belong. And maybe that's what it's done. When you play bigger teams and you find a way to win or compete with them, it's given us that confidence that we can kind of continue to do that. But, we're always trying to push the envelope. We understand that, we have to come back here and obviously win our conference to make it. But at the end of the day, like the regional part is what we have to figure out. And I think for us, when we continue to add these really, high class top 25 teams, in preseason, like we're just trying to find a way to, how do we navigate this? How do we compete on this level? How do we see eye to eye with them and find a way to do more when we get to an actual regional? Because at the end of the day, you get put in there with three other teams that all have the capability of winning and who are all very talented.
Right, and usually on the road or a neutral site and compete there. As we record, you're 27-3 on the season. What have you learned about this group so far through 30 games?
I think for us, it's a continuation of trying to, get better, stay chippy, stay scrappy. I think for us, some of the games that we have lost, we haven't played to the best of our ability. I think that, maybe we're walking too many people or hit batter or we're not getting the fundamentals down. So I think all it showed us is that we still have more to work on. All it showed us is that there are vulnerable parts that we need to continue to kind of push and get better with. So I think preseason is to learn, who you are, what you have to kind of fine tune, and how you're going to better perform in conference. And I think it gave us all three. We know who we are, we know what we have to work on, we know our weak spots, and I think every single week we're just trying to chip away to get ourselves to be playing our best possible softball into April and May.
Highlighting some of your wins, you beat Charlotte twice at third place. Their regional team might be the best team in the American Athletic Conference. Who knows? Time will tell that. I feel like you've wrapped up the Big East title because you've beaten UConn twice and you've beaten Villanova. From that standpoint, and then again, you playing all over the place. You beat Minnesota up in Columbia, South Carolina. Uh, Talk about when you put your non-conference schedule together. What goes into it? What was unique this year? I joked with you. I texted you. It's like, wait a minute, where's this West Coast trip? Because normally we would talk on the show during a West Coast trip, but you didn't have that this year. Talk about your non-conference scheduling.
Yeah, I mean, I think for us, we're always trying to challenge ourselves preseason and play the best of the best. I have a lot of respect for Charlotte. I love what they've built. We love going down there and obviously getting to compete kind of head to head with them. But yeah, I mean, you have to be willing to compete and you have to be willing to lose. And I think that's a part of it where, I don't fear losing. I fear not competing. And I've said that over and over again. And that's really, kind of what I believe. It's to get on the field with the best of the best. That is why you play Division I softball. And I feel like our schedule gave us that opportunity to play the SEC, to play the Big Ten, to play, it's the more that you can kind of spread it out and see teams from different conferences and top teams from different conferences. I mean, that's what's exciting about college softball. We don't get to go out west, or at least we haven't the past year. And then, next year we're not. Our spring break got pushed back. So basically because of their conference play, they start sooner than us. So we'd just be going out there for a weekend. So we've put the California trip on hold. I'm not saying we're not going back there in the future, but I did like our South Carolina tour this year. I think it was a lot of fun and definitely something different. And we at least got to stay on our East Coast time zone, which was great.
I noticed that you spent a little extra time in South Carolina. I just got to convince you to stay in like Florida during spring break instead of early in the season. Like you did DeLand, which was great, but I was busy. I was broadcasting not too far away from DeLand. We got to get you in March to Florida. That's my pitch to you now.
That's okay. We'll make our way. We're gonna make our way to UCF. That's what it
Well,
is.
in that way, then you and I could do our traditional interview in person. Like that could be pretty fun.
I'd love that. I think that'd be great.
Well, let's talk about some of your players, and obviously, I got to begin with your National Player of the Week as we talk about Casey Ricardo was named National Player of the Week. Uh, what makes her so special? 13-2, 1.46 ERA. Part of its great pitching staff. You got three arms. Your staff is ERA this year 1.64.
Casey is, brilliant at what she does, but I think the separation from her, maybe to others, is her head. I mean, she loves to compete. I think, the tougher the situation, the more pressure on the situation, that is where she kind of thrives. And, I think that's really cool. Obviously, she has a couple losses, but to me, she has losses because she doesn't fear who she goes up against. And I think that's all that says. So, Casey, obviously, she's a great pitcher. She can execute a rise ball. She can spin east west. She can go up. She has an off speed this year. I mean, there's some things about her that are just so special, but I really do believe it's her mindset that really creates a separation and makes her so exceptional. She loves to pitch, and you can kind of see that every time that she gets to go in the circle.
But she's not the only one on your staff, and that's what's unique about your team. What's successful is you've got three arms you trust. Allison has been having a good year herself, 10-1, and perhaps they're more under the radar because Casey's got a lot of national recognition, right, well deserved. But she's not alone.
Yeah, and I think that's a part. Anytime that you have more than one ace, I think that creates for a really special year. And I think that's exactly what happened last year. The three of them have been together now. This is 2 years of understanding when they need to help each other, when they need to step in, when they need to kind of pick up slack, when someone needs to maybe carry more weight. So, they're not going to be on every single weekend. And I think that's the part that they've really come to own and recognize, right? It might be your weekend, it might be someone else's, but we give the ball to the hand that's hot. And Allie has had her hand be hot this year. Casey has had her hand be hot this year. Lizzie has had her hand be hot this year. So, I think for us, like we go based on matchups, who we think is the better matchup, but also at the same time, just based on results. If I feel like we got to switch something up, I very much trust that the next two that come in can manage it, can handle it. But yeah, I mean, Allie is an exceptional lefty who just has a gift for locating in a changeup, and Lizzie's a hard throwing righty who can throw a down ball, and also mix east, west, and up. So I think for us, we have three different people who throw very differently. And that definitely creates obviously a little bit more trouble for, an offensive team to have to deal with potentially all three in a game. Because I've done that this year. So I think, we're trying to find ways to win. And I think the one part about this staff is I don't think they care who has the ball. At the end of the day, it's about the team and they want to win. So, they know the deal. It might not be their weekend, but they know their weekend's coming.
Offensively, you're hitting 330 as a team. How do you feel about your offense to this point?
Yeah, I mean, I think we've had like highs and lows, but I would say, it's interesting. I feel like when we're hitting the ball, you got to give yourself an opportunity. And we've had a lot of really hard outs this year. I think South Carolina, my God, if we were playing at any other park, I think we had more home runs, but that field is deep. So it's funny. I look at their swings and their attack and their approach, and I felt really good about it. I feel like they're seeing the ball well. I think it's like anything else. Every coach is going to say there's certain games where we gave away too many at bats or we didn't adjust sooner, but they're scrappy. I feel like 1 through 9, anybody at any point can kind of step up and do what they need to. But there's an emphasis on the end of the order, kind of turning it over. When you get back up to Kelleher, Ronson, and Coker, the more chances you give them, the better opportunity that we have, obviously, to be successful. And the idea is to get that top of the lineup as much as possible for us. So, I've been impressed with just their ability to either draw walks, hit by pitches, whatever it looks like, find a way to get on. And, if we put the ball in play, good things can happen.
What really jumped out at me about your offense, obviously Kayla Rhodeson, you mentioned everybody knows her by now. Accomplished player. She was in the top 100 D1 softball player rankings this year. She's done it all. She leads you with 26 RBIs, but the balance, you have balance from top to bottom from a run producing standpoint. With Lauren Keller with 23 RBIs, 5 home runs. Caitlin Coker, you mentioned, 19 RBIs, hitting 406. Lizzie Avery, who's a two-way, 16 RBIs. You got Kylie Doherty, 4 home runs, 18 RBIs. I could go on and on. Brooke with 2 homers, 17 R. Is this the deepest offense you've had from a lineup standpoint?
Yeah, I mean, I would say that, I mean, it's like anything else, hitting's contagious. And I think we started off really hot. And I think people jumped onto that. So I think people got confident pretty quickly. And, for us, there's highs and lows with your swing throughout the year, but they found a way to kind of be consistent. And, they might have an off game and then all of a sudden the next game, it's kind of them. So, they know it doesn't matter what you did your first at bat. It doesn't matter what you did your second at bat. Like that third at bat could change the whole entire game. So I think for us, it's just that mindset of like staying the course, trying to find pitches that are good to swing at. But yeah, I mean, there's a lot of depth. I think the top three are scary. I mean, there's three of the best hitters that we've had in our program. So when you all of a sudden take those three and then complement them with 4, 5, 6, 7, I mean, my gosh, and Allie Boaz her bat's been hot lately, so it's one of those pieces where the more people, that are kind of helping out and contributing, it takes pressure off the top and allows them just to kind of do their thing and swing freely and feel like they can just, take their hacks. And I think that's the part that I really love.
Back to Kayla. Obviously, she was an All-American last year, third team All-American, first ever Patriot League player to be the All-American, third overall in program history. What's one thing you want to say about her and her accomplishments, back to back player of the year, that people maybe don't realize about her?
She is so quiet and humble. She loves to play softball, but she does it in the most like natural, well-balanced way possible. She is just a pure softball player. She played baseball growing up. I mean, that's a kid that just loves the game, and she is so fiercely competitive, yet so quiet in her demeanor. Um, I had a conversation with her not too long ago. I feel like she doesn't feel as though like her power numbers are up there. She's not hitting as well as she did last year. And it wasn't about her the whole time. It was about, I'm not contributing. Like, I'm not scoring people when they're in scoring position. I'm not helping. Like, we could be winning more games if I could, and you sit there and you're looking at a kid who is so gifted and so talented, and all she cares about is the fact that she's not doing enough for her team. It's not about her. I think that's the part that makes her really, really special. But yeah, Kayla has left her mark, and she continues to do so on a daily basis. And it's funny because, she feels like she's not doing well. And I'm looking at her being like, oh my God, even when you're not doing well, man, you're good. But it's a feeling, obviously, for a player. When you're hot, you're hot. But yeah, Kayla is exceptional, and she has been a gift to be you, that is for sure.
That's uh that's kind of scary. She doesn't think she's doing enough there. Where you got 430, lead the team in RBI, six doubles, three triples. How did you talk to her about not putting too much pressure on herself? Because when you have the accomplishments that she's had, sometimes you might try to press a little bit, especially in your last year of a season or things like that. Was that something you had to talk to her about to make sure that she kept to what was been working and not try to do too much?
No, I haven't, and I haven't because her sophomore year was outrageous, and then she came back her junior year and did it again even more. So I feel like she's a kid that just like she just plays the game. I think when she gets to the field or she gets in the box, Kayla's only goal is how do I help this team win? It's not about anything else. And I always say end of the year accolades, those things are so special, but all it does is just point out like, hey, we have a really great team, or hey, people got on base for you, right? Or for pitchers, hey, your defense played behind you. All it does is say you have a good team if you get one of those end of the year awards. And I think we kind of embrace that. To me, it's not about that. They want a championship, and the only way to get a championship is if you do it, 1 through 20. And Kayla's just not that kid. I think the accolades are nice, but you'd be the first one to tell her, hey, Kayla, you're an All-American, or Kayla, you're player of the year. And she's just going to give you kind of a soft smile and go about her business. I think what fuels her and what fires her is championships and winning softball games. I don't think it's the individual awards.
You're a four-time Patriot League Coach of the Year. You've won your staff. You're the back-to-back reigning regional coaching staff of the year. Talk about that staff. 2 years in a row. That's not easy to. It's hard to win one, let alone back-to-back.
Yeah, I mean, I think it just says how hard, obviously we work and how much we care about these kids. And obviously we have the addition of Allie this year, which has been really special, but Becca is as loyal as they come. Obviously for us, it's an incredible relationship and a really special bond that we have. And, you put that on the field, and I think we're really two different people. We have two different approaches, and I feel like the kids on the team have always found that, they can kind of veer off to either one of us and they're going to get kind of the support they need. But yeah, I think when you look at what's been done, all it is just consistency from us. And I think the kids know what they're going to get every single day. But let me tell you, there's a lot of fun in this program, and there's a lot of love in this program. And, it's not just softball 24/7. We just got back from UConn. It was freezing. It was cold. So they take 2 days off, right, to get themselves, mentally in a better spot, physically in a better spot, academically in a better spot. And I think those are the pieces that have made us, so great. It's just that we really listen to them and we value what they have to say. And it's a balance. And, Becca and I both had different experiences, but we always knew as a coaching staff what we wanted it to be like. And I feel like that design has really worked here in terms of being family oriented, in terms of putting the player first, in terms of listening to them and letting them have a voice in this program too. And, I think ultimately that has kind of made us rise. But and like I said, obviously Allie is so special. So, we add her in the mix, and she's kind of fit in seamlessly. And now there's three of us who are trying to, give these kids the best possible experience, where at the end of their 4 years, they'd choose BU again. And, we have 4 COVID seniors, and that gives me so much pride because you know what they did? They chose us again. They chose to come back here. They chose to stay. And yeah, I mean, I think for me, any of the coach of the years or the regional coaching staff of the years, that just means, man, you got a good team. You got kids that can play. So I don't know if it's more about us. I think it's more about them.
I get a sense in your voice. This senior class, super seniors, is very special.
Yeah, I think the super seniors and the seniors, I think this is going to be it's bittersweet, I think, every single day, because working with them has been just the joy of a lifetime. And I always say Kate Coker is 1 in a million, and I think Kate Coker is 1 in a million. I don't know if you find a better academic, athletic human being than Kate Coker. Audrey Sellers is, to me, someone that has been incredibly close all the way through. I mean, we've called every single, pitch kind of together and had this like very great bond of working with the pitchers and being with each other and having a really honest kind of dialogue. And, Allie Boas, to watch what she's become, Lizzie Avery, to see her have the senior year. I don't know. It just like, that is why I got into coaching, is to watch these kids like achieve their dreams or to have these moments. And yeah, I don't know. It's about them. And I think that's the part that's like my heart bursts, every time that they have a moment, because I just love it so much. And it's the same for the seniors. I mean, we're watching, some of the most talented people ever come through this program walk out the door this year. So I'm trying to really savor every single moment.
No doubt. That's well said there. A lot of softball to go. Patriot League's underway. And if Army was any indication, you're going to get everybody's best shot as you always do. I mean, Army pushed you the limit there. Describe the league. Because with the success you've had, there's a target within the league. Their teams are gunning for you. So describe the league this year. What have you seen, anticipate seeing from the league here moving forward? The conference obviously clearly believes in storylines and create and a good humor because they got you ending the conference season with Lehigh, your big rival. That's that's creative there. But just describe the league overall.
Yeah, I mean, I think everybody is kind of raising the bar. I think everybody's challenging themselves preseason. I think they're trying to shoot their shot against bigger teams, which I think is awesome. I think everybody is getting better. I think there's a lot of pride in our conference of wanting to do well, wanting to win. And, I think everybody is trying to be one of those 4 teams. And I put myself on that same level. I don't feel like we're above anybody. And even though statistically or on paper, that's what it looks like, the second you don't respect your opponent is the second your opponent gets you. So we have a lot of respect going into every single weekend, knowing that, everyone does want to beat us. Everyone does want to win. Right. But to me, we just look at it like it's another game. And, there's a lot of focus on us versus everybody else. And, we expect to see really great series, and it is hard to beat a team 3 times. And I think that's the part that any coach in the country can tell you, that it doesn't make a difference who you're playing. It is really difficult. And, I think every single game is a little bit different, and you don't know if you have your best stuff that day. So I think for us, the focus is really simple, try to win every single inning, try to pass the bat, and obviously try to execute our pitches. And you hope that you're the team that comes out on top. But, it's the same goal I've had since I got here. You got to be one of the 4 teams to make the tournament, because then you have a shot. So I haven't wavered from that. Of course, we want to host, right? Of course, we want to win the regular season, all those pieces. But I like to keep it very, very simple and keep our mind on what is directly in front of us versus what is so far ahead of us.
I'm curious. There's been so much chatter out there about various college sports expanding their NCAA tournament, which has obviously been a polarizing topic, and depending on the sport and everything like that. But I'm curious from your perspective, because I think a lot of people recognize how good your teams are, and some of the limitations you have. Do you think, two things: should the softball season be moved forward to help programs in the Northeast? B, should they expand the tournament to give programs like yours more fair shake, that you don't have to win the automatic bid every year to get to the tournament, which is kind of the way it's been playing out, because you've done all you could do from a non-conference standpoint. How would you address those 2 things?
So in terms of the weather, I mean, I think for us, like, I don't know. I don't know if you can say it or I can say it or whatever, but I mean, does anyone know what the weather actually is anymore? I mean,
That's fair. That's a great
let's be
point.
honest.
Nah, that's
Like,
fair.
I don't. I think what we all thought, like, oh yeah, let's, move it back, let's move it forward, let's do all this stuff. Like, I mean, to me, it's so inconsistent that, you know what, like, I think if you're from the Northeast, I think you very much recognize that you need to get on a plane and go somewhere and play in warmer weather, and you hope it doesn't get rained out, right? So maybe just choose wisely. But to me, I'm like, the season is the season. I don't know how they put a 56 game season really in anywhere else unless we're keeping them in school, which then becomes another budgetary thing, obviously in the summer, to house kids or to keep them here if we were going to do a baseball model and push it back. So to me, I'm like, you know what? The season is what the season is. I think obviously there's a lot of rainouts and obviously the prices of everything have gone up. So I just hope that athletic departments and schools around the country continue to support softball, right? Support that budget and maybe let them fundraise, whatever it is, to obviously continue to allow them to play as close to that 56 game schedule. I feel incredibly supported here to be able to travel and to play those games. I mean, that is something that means the world to me because at the end of the day, that is what you come for. You come to play, and that's what's important. Secondary, I would love if they'd expand the tournament. I always have, I think I look at it where I think there's a really lot of great teams that get left out every single year, but it's almost like March Madness, right? Like there's these teams that get in and then there's a Cinderella story. There's something incredible that happens. And I think for us, the more that you expand it, the more you're going to see, another team potentially rise. And, obviously you look at a team like JMU a few years ago, and that's like a perfect model for a non-power five of like what can be done. Clearly they won their way in and that's great, but like, you have no idea what a team is capable of. They might be hot at the right time, but the more teams you let in, the more you're going to see. And there's nothing better than NCAA softball in May. So to me, listen, more people are just going to watch. So the more teams you add, I tell you what, the viewership's just going to go up. And I think it would be incredibly special to give more teams the experience of what our kids have had because they know what it's like to go to an NCAA tournament. They know that feeling. And there's a lot of teams around the country that don't necessarily get that or haven't got that. And maybe they're deserving too. But that is the best feeling in the entire world. And I would love for more student athletes around the country to get to experience that.
Yeah, that's going to be interesting how all that plays out with all the changes going on in college athletics. But I do know for a fact, there are more metrics being created than ever before in softball to try to determine teams instead of the RPI. And the part of the reason people have told me that these metrics is because of your team to try to show that your team is as good as deserving that the RPI probably does not show at times. I'm not going to have you comment on that. I'm just going to make that opinion on that. What I will have you comment on is how does it feel now to be the most successful active head coach in the area of Boston that wears a hoodie?
Listen, got to keep these ears warm, okay? You never know when a snow flurry is going to hit.
Yeah.
Hey, I'll tell you one thing. I learned from a very young age. All right. I don't dress to impress. Okay.
Well, there was another coach in that area that used to do that dressed with a bunch of hoodies, didn't dress to impress either. Is it strange for you now that like Bill Belichick will not be coaching the Patriots this upcoming season in that area? Because I mean, the wardrobe. When people think hoodies, I've talked to Laura Berg, who's a big Patriots fan, or you could say she wears a hoodie because of Bill Belichick. I know you don't necessarily do that, but the comparisons are there from a successful standpoint, coaching in Boston with a hoodie.
Listen, when I get off this call, I'm probably going to cut off my sleeves, get that little fray, get my arms out there. Bill Belichick is obviously incredible at what he does. And I think this is the part that maybe in sports that is so tough is it is so hard to remain at the top. It is so hard once you are there. I think climbing to get there, right? Being the underdog, that part, I'm not saying it's easy. It's easier when you're sitting at the top of a dynasty, of a team that wins all the time. It's like, how do you continue to do that? How do you continue to reinvent it, to stay relevant, to stay on top? And I think Bill Belichick taught a lot of us coaches, and especially those who are Patriot fans, a lot. I think you can look at him and kind of see that like humble, hardworking, kind of no BS type mentality and see what he kind of did with it. But he had the best of the best. And, I think obviously over the past couple of years, he lost that, but I don't know if anyone feels it deeper than my brother. I think he took it hard when Bill left. I think
Really?
that was, he's a big Patriots fan. So if we want to talk about the shockwaves through the nation, I think it hit Corey Waters more than anybody else.
Wow.
When Tom Brady left, that was my,
I know that.
we were at we were at UCLA and the conversation started happening and we were playing and Maya Brady was obviously on UCLA and I saw her mom and we were driving out in our vans and I literally put down the window and all the girls in the vans were like, do not do it. No, don't do it. And I was like, can you tell Tom to stay in New England? She's like, I'll try. But I was like, you know what? This might be my only shot to keep him here. But we definitely love the Patriots. We're loyal Patriots fans here. Well, some of us, I should say.
I was gonna say, yeah, you've had success because we've talked in the past about that. You look to other coaches just beyond softball that inspire you. We've talked about it. The success that the Patriots had for such a long time, that sustained excellence, was something that you are shooting. You've been shooting for and have accomplishing at Boston.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, I think there's so many people now that are so relevant and, whether it's, whether it's a quote that they put out or whether it's just like kind of a press conference or how they model themselves or what their team's like, there's something that you can take from everybody. And I think for me, it's when you're always trying to learn and you're always trying to get better at what you do and find a way to continue to grow. I mean, I think that you should look to the people left and right of you or the people that are above you or the people that are on TV. And yeah, I mean, there's things that just register with me, whether good or bad, whether I like it or dislike it. I think I'm always trying to take from somebody else or something else to, continue to do well in this sport and continue to make the right choices. And I'm obviously still finding out kind of who I am. And I still feel like I'm on the younger side. And I think I have a long way to go. So I want to be the best kind of version of myself for these kids for years to come.
You are very young. You just started coaching young. That's the thing. So that's the you're ahead of the curve on that. So I think you've accomplished that very well. The beauty of when we always get together around this time of year, and why you like coming on this year, is obviously you're kind of this halftime, if you will. You have a little bit of a mini break before you get the second half and get going. And you always have told me over the years, there's always one or two things that you pick out after evaluating how the first half of the year went. And you're like, we need to do this and this if we want to win another conference title, get back to the region. What is that for this team this year?
I think base running and bunting. I think for us, it's so simple, but the fundamentals. I mean, we have so many kids that can drive in a run, but for us, when we're hitting a gap and we're on first base, you're not necessarily scoring. So I think for us, it's being able to execute when we need to execute. And it's off the top of my head, those are the two that have kind of stood out this preseason of, we definitely need to get sharper, need to get better. And, there's a time to be aggressive, but you have to be aggressive and smart, and I think for us, I'm very offensive minded. I am offensive in the box, offensive in the circle, offensive on defense. Like you have to be in attack mode at all times, but we have to do that while also evaluating the play and what it is. So I would just say those basic fundamentals will end up being really big things in the end.
Well, Coach, always enjoy getting together around this time of year to talk softball and other stuff. It's always a blast getting to get together with you. Good luck this rest of the year. We follow, as you know, I always follow very closely, and who knows, might get you on again during the postseason at some point, like we've done also in the past. We're wild. It depends. It's always wild how the years sometimes develop. But in the meantime, hey, always thanks for coming on and talking to us over the years. And a big blast that you're having this success and continue that success. And thanks for coming on to us.
I really appreciate it, and I'm very grateful for what you do for programs across the country. So thank you for giving people a voice and letting us hear from different conferences, different teams, different people from around the country. I think it is so special to listen to your show and get to hear different takes. So we talk about learning a lot from others, and I've been able to take a lot just from your show. So thank you for continuing to kind of pass the baton to different people and allowing people to kind of share who they are, share about their program or their conference. So it's very special, and our sport is very grateful for you.